Hello, beautiful people. Welcome to another health chat with me. Today, that's enough out of that. Sorry. Today we are going to be talking about, some tips on dealing with sexual assault, how to maybe have those conversations with your friends, with your family, whomever is dealing with this. The reason that we're going to be talking about this week is the amount of sexual assaults. I'm not sure if everybody's heard about it, but the amount of sexual assaults that have been happening in Calgary since November, even October, there have been a few, since November is outrageous. And I know our typical kind of MO of who we think does the sexual assaults. I mean, we think that there are these creepy men that hide out in the bushes when it's dark outside and you're in like wooded areas and no one's around. It's happening in public places during the daytime. It's happening downtown Calgary. I mean, there have been a few women are like walking past back alleys. Guys are snatching them into the back alley, sexually assaulting them or raping them. And one even, I'll add all the articles and everything as well. One of them even happened in Chinook Mall during the day. So how we normally picture these people is not how it is anymore. And, the amount that the more that we talk about it, the better, because with everyone is so stressed out now, and with weather getting nicer too, like spring fever is happening. There's a full moon that's on this Saturday. Everyone is kind of at their stressed out point. And I think people that did have sexual predatory tendencies, maybe mild ones going into this whole pandemic, are now like tripled or double those kind of tendencies. Because before there were way more people out and about. They could go to the park and see a bunch of people. They could go out to the bar and see all these people. And now that they're not getting that, they're like losing it. So I think people are going to continue to be more aggressive with this. So we need to be more vigilant. And the amount of bullshit that I have seen around hating on the police on this is astounding. I have looked through so many posts and there have been little to no comments trying to hold these attackers accountable. It's all been shaming the police or shaming the victims. And this is just another form of like victim blaming or shucking the blame elsewhere to deflect from the actual problem. We're trying to deal with these attackers. We're not trying to deal with the police, and we're not trying to deal with the victims in that sense. It is not either of their fault that these attackers are acting like that. So I ain't hearing none of that. I'm sick of it. We need to hold people more accountable because that's why these things are happening. So on that note, if you have a friend, a family member, coworker, whoever that has these predilections to these types of behaviors, call them out on it. You don't have to call them out right then. You could have a conversation with them, be like, hey, just so you know, that's super rapey. And sometimes people literally don't know. They think, I know a lot of guys, I've seen a few articles, again, I will add it on there. These guys that didn't know what they were doing was predatory. And then once they realized it was, they're like, the amount that it has changed my perspective is insane. So sometimes they don't know. A lot of them think that, the more aggressive they are with women, the more women like that, because or the more, men or trans, whoever likes that, because that means they're like taking initiative. They're being, the alpha male. They're like, they think that's like masculine, and that has so much to do with the toxic masculinity and this, this sad little view on what a male should be in our society. And they think because they see their buddies do it, or, they had one response from one girl, that that's a proper way of dealing with it. And it's not at all. Catcalling should never be a thing. And even in my over-sexualization video, somebody should be able to stand completely naked. Yeah, they're obviously going to be more obvious when they're totally naked, but they should be able to be naked in a public place without getting assaulted. They just should. There's no access to somebody's body if it's not your body. Even if your partner says they're like not into it that night, even a person you're dating, if there's like, oh no, like I'm not really comfortable doing that, maybe another time, something like that, or they're a little more uncomfortable, don't force it. Like you do not, just because you're with that person or you're interested in the person, again, interest does not mean access. Just because you're interested in the person doesn't mean you get full access to them. It's still their body and they're still allowed to have boundaries with it. So a lot of these are happening in broad daylight. And it pains me to say this too, because, it's the responsibility should not be on the victim, but we still have to be vigilant. Every time we leave our houses for the day, we're opening ourselves up for potential, dangerous things to happen, like even driving on the road. Just statistically, how much people drive on the road, like you may get into an accident. And, even going through the woods. I'm honestly, the amount of times I've hiked by myself, I am more terrified of sexual, people out there trying to sexual assault people than I am from like bears and cougars. I would rather take them on. Like knock on wood, I never have to deal with any of that, but that's like where my mind is at too. And again, the police can only do so much. They have to have pictures and proof. And yes, sexual assaults a lot of the times don't get taken very seriously, or it's such a long process because even if they have a picture of this person, they still need to find them. They still need to get them in for questioning. They still have to do due process for these people, or else people can get arrested for anything willy-nilly. And, we don't like that when it is surrounding other issues in our countries. So we can't be applying that to this too, just because that fits our narrative. And yeah, I hate to put the pressure on people that are, could be potential victims to be super vigilant, because it is not our responsibility to control the minds of these attackers. But we have to protect ourselves. Like even if someone wasn't sexually assaulting me, but they come up and like attack me, because that's happened before, I need to know how to lay this person out. And the beautiful thing of women, a lot of them are smaller than their attacker, like shorter, and they have the perfect angle to like crush somebody's nose or hit them in their jaw, which if you've seen any kind of UFC fight or boxing or anything like that, somebody can get hit in the jaw just right. A big guy that's super tough and be out like a light. So you have that going into this, which is nice. Again, always use the heel of your hand if you can. Always go for the eyes, always. And your elbow is one of the hardest, best defense weapons on your body. And if it's a male, I know we never want to do this to like our brothers or our friends, but always go for the balls. Always. And the unfortunate part is when you yell help, people don't necessarily pay attention. It's kind of like hearing a car alarm go off. You're like, oh, okay, that's not a huge threat. And I don't have to get involved. Yell, get away from me. Don't touch me. You're not allowed to touch my body. Say things like that are very specific like that, because that's what will trigger people into helping you. And like I learned that in Taekwondo. They're like, never ever yell help. Yell, get away from me. Don't touch me. Because again, people aren't really paying attention to that. So that's the unfortunate part, but that's just how it is. Where was I going with this? My ADD is just all over the place today. But yes, go for the soft spots. Go for the eyes. Go for the groin. Go for their hang-me-down areas. Anything that you can do to get away, and even have like, you can get these like little tactical, like blunt force trauma things that you can put on your keychain, because you can't really carry around a knife or bear spray or pepper spray. Like you can carry a little one, but you're putting yourself at risk for like potentially getting assault charge yourself, which is so messed up. And hopefully that changes within our system, but you can get those blunt force trauma weapons. And just try your best. If it happens, that's a shitty part. Oh, and that's what I was gonna say. On your phones, I know mine's an iPhone, but on Androids, it has it too. My right side button, if I click it 3 times, I can alert 911 of my location and whatever's happening. And I know on Androids, it has that safety option too. So check where that is on your phone. You know, it may not prevent something from happening to you, but at least you have that safety option on your phone. And I think that's so important for people to have, because you never know. You just never know what's gonna happen. And I don't wanna terrify people into this, but again, be vigilant. We have to anytime we go out. And it's just, unfortunately, it's always going to be a part of our reality, whether it's like very, very minuscule that we have to worry about it or on this big spectrum. But like having these conversations with male friends, female friends, if you notice any kind of inappropriate behavior, like over sexualization or them pushing boundaries with people, or even your friends being like, that person is weird, or like gives off a really creepy vibe, pay attention to that and have those conversations, because we can't expect police to be everywhere. We can't expect to have to protect ourselves at all times going out. These attackers need to be held accountable for their actions. We are not in control of controlling them. They need to get their shit together. And that's where this conversation needs to be held at. So that was light and airy for everybody to go to the weekend with. Hope everyone has a lovely weekend, and I'll see you next week. Everyone be safe.